Hello and welcome back to playipredict.com. It's been lucky enough now to get a lot of big guests the last couple of weeks in particular, but this has been one that I've been trying to get hold of for quite a while now. And as time would have it, given the announcements earlier on this week, it's got even better. Just to give a little intro into my guest. It's not often that when your brothers both win All-Ireland winners, one of them in fact lifts Sam Maguire, but yet they're still not the most successful or well-known superstar in the family. He's of course Liverpool captain, Niamh Fahey. Niamh, how are you?
I'm good, Jonathan. What an introduction.
Oh, well, us Galway people like to look after each other and all that.
For sure.
Liverpool captain, does that still sound a little bit surreal?
Most definitely. Yeah, I don't think it's fully sunk in yet. But I'm sure I'll get used to it over the coming days.
Yeah, no, it must have been incredible. Yeah, everybody, and such a good reaction as well. You can see the I suppose the outburst of emotion in social media as well the last week or two with the announcement. I'm sure your phone has been absolutely hopping.
Exactly. I think it's the first time I'll ever say my phone has been red hot. And it's just so many messages, like you said, so many goodwill messages from home, especially, and all my community and just all of Ireland. Really, I think it's really been quite big, and no, it's been great. The reaction's been really nice and yeah, really helpful, really positive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now you've a fascinating career, both in your time here back in Galway and then where you ventured across the waters. But I always like to start off with people and ask them who were their early sporting, I suppose, idols or people that had their most influence on the career. And I always say it was my mother that dragged me out and got me into sport. Really, I suppose you growing up with the two brothers as well, being heavily linked with Galway at times as well. They must have been a huge impact on you on your early sporting career. Who else was big key factors?
Definitely, I think for me it started at home. Like I said, my house is a very big GA household, and I'm one of eight, so there was always plenty of games going on outside. And the six brothers I have are a good bit older than me, so that I was always watching them and wanted to be, just kicking around outside, doing what they were doing. So for me, yeah, watching my brothers and actually following them around when they were playing with Galway as a young girl, going to all the matches, dragged up and down every county, going with my mum and dad and my sister, supporting them. So most definitely started at home for me, and just with all my family really, and my sister as well, is a very good basketball player. So I had early influences all around me.
Yeah, well, you definitely. I can imagine some of those games were pretty intense at the best of times. Fun stories. I'm sure there was plenty of tears as
Yeah,
well. I'm sure.
there's always tears from me because there's a quite an age gap, obviously, with there being eight of us. So I was always trying to get one over, and clearly, physical size and difference, I was always going to be the wrong end. So it probably helped my competitive nature, but I was never a good loser, even given the physical differences. I always wanted to win, and I'm sure they got great joy out of teasing me as well when I was younger.
I'm sure there were some good stories there, right? I suppose for people that are maybe not from Ireland or not really aware, I'm assuming here, but I'm assuming similar to where I grew up, the other end of the country, where you grew up in Killala, it was Gaelic football would have been the first grow, would have been the first sport that you would have been, I suppose, exposed to and introduced to most.
Yeah, exactly. Just the area I'm from, the parish I'm in, Killannin, is just a heavily involved Gaelic football club there. And to me, when I was growing up, there wasn't many soccer clubs, so everyone played Gaelic. It was everyone's passion. So that was where it all started, really, and that's where everyone wanted to play Gaelic because you wanted to represent your parish and your club. So yeah, my first love was most definitely Gaelic, and then obviously as I got older, I started to get exposed to soccer more and climb the ranks. So things started to change in my later years, but very much a Gaelic background.
Yeah, we know you'd see it in a good few times with particularly with the Irish rugby team. For example, a lot of the time, you might have seen the one that comes to mind straight away is when they had the Six Nation games at Croke Park, and Shane Horgan scores that try with the big catch, and everybody likes to go, "Oh, he learned that on the Gaelic field." I'm sure you're probably reminded of that as your soccer career progressed then as well.
Yeah, definitely. I remember Noel King when the first time I got called up to an international squad. I was like 16, I was on the under 17 team, and he was they all used to say to me, it's obvious that you're a Gaelic player playing soccer. It was like, you're raw as a rasher. And I think it was every compliment meant in that, but I was definitely lacking the finer skills and details of the soccer upbringing that I could have had maybe if I was a bit more involved at a younger age. But it didn't do me any harm at all. It actually was really good for my game in terms of shielding the ball and physical strength. I was able to like be really good tackling and man marking and stuff. So that side of things has really helped my game as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when did like soccer become, I suppose, more of a kind of where it started to take a bit of structure for you? Because the Gaelic would have been pretty much as soon as you joined your first underage team in Clallan, I assume. But where did the soccer structure come into place?
I think really it started to take an effect when I was probably in after I got into the international squads, probably about 18, 17, 18. I started to be involved at the under 19 level then, and then I think, yeah, probably around that age, I started to veer more towards soccer, and it started to take up more of my time. Obviously, the club structure of soccer, it wasn't that strong in Ireland, so it was very much just being exposed to it at international level and loving that side of it, and then wanting to actually progress on and represent the senior squad. So I knew I'd have to be more committed if I wanted to do that. So about 17 or 18, I think the switch kind of started to happen then.
Which in terms of sport and careers is quite late. Like I'm sure people that you were probably teammates and people that you're playing against would have been their first sport. I suppose it's more of an indication of just how much of a natural talent you are that you were able to kind of, I suppose, transition a little bit later in your sporting career across.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, don't get me wrong. I played when I was younger, all the way up, like at school and stuff, and my probably early instincts were formed from the playground, and playing against boys all those years. But I didn't get the structured coaching that we'll say people are exposed to now. But like I said, I was keen for both, and I watched a lot. So I had probably some minor disadvantages, but playing Gaelic probably outweighed any of those minor things that I may have missed when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you certainly didn't have the academy structure or that one-to-one coaching earlier on. In terms of your Galway career, then you kind of burst into the Galway panel, I suppose, quite young again in your sporting career. I'm going to read out a message here. It's actually quite long, but you probably kill me for it.
Okay.
But it's one of your former teammates, and I'll better not say any more than that because you probably kill him and kill me. It was
Okay.
just on your memories. My memories of Niamh or her as a young kid on the block coming into the senior panel at 15, 16. So skillful, her strength and physique fitted right in. A joy to watch. Rather than learning from us, we were learning from her. She was a huge part of winning the '04 All Ireland, a leader. Scored a great goal against Mayo and Portlaoise to draw with Mayo. We went on to win the All Ireland that year. That goal summed up leadership, strength, skill, and a will to win and to take will and just inspirational stuff, passion and committed. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And I better not read the rest of it out or you'll actually kill me. But there's a nice little summary at the end. PG Fahey always called her, and I think still does, the special one. And I think she's very special. How
Oh,
does reading stuff
very
like
nice.
because to strip back the emotion of it, you are a 15, 16-year-old kid coming into an intercounty setup like that as well. It was a big, I suppose, step up really, and a big challenge for you that you absolutely grabbed with both hands.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably the fearlessness of youth. Um, you don't think of anything, you don't get the gravity of the situation, and sometimes you're going in blind to things, and that can be the best thing ever because you don't, yeah, you just go out and you're free and you just play, and that can be the best thing about being so young. And I think that definitely helped me. I could just go out and play, and I had someone like PJ Fahey who had so much belief and trust in me. So when you see that from your manager, they're like, God, geez, I must be all right here. They're giving me a chance, or they're throwing me in. And obviously, I was coming into a team with massive players, so everything just kind of hit at the right time for me. And yeah, I was lucky. Like I was lucky to be part of that team. It was great football inside, great ability. It was great times as well. But yeah, I think probably the fearlessness of youth was the biggest advantage I had there.
Yeah, no, it was like when you think about it as well, even thinking back now in terms of Galway football, both men's and women's, you had it was such a successful time. You obviously had your two brothers in 98 and 01. There was a couple of close ones in around 2000 as well in between. And then you've come on, and Galway Ladies was on such a peak as well. It was a great time for Galway GA in general, wasn't it? It must have been great to be involved in that.
Uh, it was amazing. Like you think back, and I don't think it sank in as good as we had it. Like from following my brothers, like through 98 and 2000, 2001, and then obviously our own successes then coming 2004. It was really a momentous time for us in terms of GA and Galway. And then somehow you think it's going to go on forever, and then all of a sudden it doesn't come, and it's just the years go on. And yeah, you only look back now and you think, God, I hope I should have taken that in more, because I thought this was just going to happen continuously. It doesn't work like that, obviously, as we know.
True, that I think you touched on. I suppose it's the both polar opposites of the innocent of youth. Really, you're straight in, but you probably didn't appreciate it as much at the same time. Probably correct in saying that.
Oh yeah, definitely, exactly. I was spoiled, really. Got so much so quickly that you think, yeah, this can only happen again. And obviously, yeah, like I said, innocence of youth on both occasions.
That must have been like such a busy time for you as well, because you would have been with Galway pretty much full time, and then your soccer career as well. How did you find that, I suppose, big juggling act, for want of a better word?
I was just trying to think. It was extremely busy time. So I just remember coming back from an Irish camp, and then arriving that day, and then going straight to a Gaelic match. But again, it's just, I think when you're so young and you just want to play everything and be involved in everything, and then you have managers who are allowing and facilitating all these things, that you do your best to make everything, not let anyone down, and of course for yourself, you want to play and everything. So I didn't really mind. And then obviously I have to mention my parents, because they were the ones that were ferrying me from A to B. So without them and my family, my support system, none of it would have been able to be possible. But yeah, I just enjoyed playing, and I was willing to play anything as long as I could.
It must have been a logistical absolute nightmare at times, was it? Because there's a lot of variable parts there.
Yeah, I think it was. I think, to be honest, a lot of people ended up sorting it out for me, because I think they wanted me, they wanted me to play. So they were like, "Yeah, we'll make it work." And once you hear that, "We'll make it work," then you can kind of relax and know that there's no pressure. Then we'll do our best to get everything done. And to be fair, all my managers at the time didn't put any pressure on me. They took a lot of the slack and were able to arrange different things like lifts, and obviously my parents as well. But are good people around me, and it doesn't work with the good people around you.
Yeah, no, and it's something conversation that we hear quite a lot as well, is that people, and I suppose the younger kids, being told to focus on one sport as opposed to having fun during their early teens in particular, and trying and having variation with different sports. You're the ultimate example, like All Ireland's in Gaelic football, and then such a successful soccer career that you have on the back of it then as well. But do you think, looking back now as well, it is quite important that you do try different sports, rather than as opposed to the academy system that we see at times, particularly I think in the men's game, where if you're a good kid, you're being hoovered up by 6 or 7, and you're put streamlined into academy pretty much. And then it's almost like, probably extreme to say their childhood is gone, but their sporting childhood is definitely restricted.
Yeah, I like you said, it's such a tough system, isn't it, for especially for the guys that go into academies at that age, because everything is pitched at making it, obviously because the financial pressures are so big. For me, as I wouldn't change a thing in terms of the sporting background that I came from. When anyone who likes to play both sports, I think it's a shame when you're forced to choose one or the other, because it's, at the end of the day, sport is for pure pleasure and enjoyment. And yes, you want to win and compete, but that's why you started off. So I think that's really important to not put pressure on younger people too much, because let them find their own path. And for me, that's the way it happened naturally. And yeah, I'm just glad I didn't get those pressurized managers who wanted pulling me in different directions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I suppose that area then, you're probably absolutely chaos, I think is the best word to describe your schedule with Galway. And in Ireland, you're obviously playing with soccer in Galway then as well, with the two teams there. But how did that next phase, that kind of the move across the water, how did that kind of come around? Is that something that happened pretty quickly, or kind of had it been on the cards for a little while?
I think it kind of came out of the blue, really. The Irish team was playing, the senior Irish team was playing the Arsenal winning quadruple team in Dublin in a friendly. So we were basically playing in Dublin. They came over, and obviously being the star-studded team they are, it was a great kind of showcase event. Um, and the manager at the time after came up to me and was saying, like, we'd like you to come over. And obviously Katie Taylor was in that team as well, so we'd actually offered Katie Taylor as well, the two of us, to a chance to come over and, you know, go home to Arsenal, play at Arsenal. So there was big links already there with four, you know, three of the girls, Emma Byrne and Ciara Grant and Yvonne Tracy, were already at Arsenal. So there was good links there. And yeah, that's how it kind of, that's how that happened. So it was just by chance, I suppose. Just that friendly occurred. He was there, he liked what he seen, and I obviously jumped at the opportunity once it was on the table.
I was going to say, it's probably not a decision you had to think too much about, really, did you?
No, I was the only thing I was trying to, like, how will I finish university college, because I was in my second year in NUIG, so I was just trying to think, like, logistically, how is that going to work? But I ended up transferring over to finish university over there as well in the UK. So no, I didn't have to think. It was just those little minor details, but I was definitely going. There's no way about it. There's no two ways about it.
That competitive streak came through again. Was that a
Definitely.
fun conversation with your parents then as well, man, dad, I'm going?
I don't even think they were like, okay, they knew. They didn't even know to, you know, they
Okay.
didn't try to convince me otherwise. They knew how probably dead set I was on it. And then they were like, my mom came over with me just to go over and see it before I actually moved over. And once I was over there and seen the training ground and everything, that was it. Went to London Colney, and I was absolutely sold. So yeah, we actually played a tournament with the Galway team, District League at the time. We were meant to be going to Europe, but obviously I got the chance to go to Arsenal. So then I couldn't play in Europe, but we played a friendly tournament in Manchester, and then straight from that tournament I got the train down to London, and yeah, didn't look back then. That was it.
Wow. And how did you find that initial, I suppose, transition across to being well, you pretty much were a full-time athlete with everything else, bar the frills here in Ireland, really, in effect, but to move across to Arsenal as well, was that how did you find that transition? You hear so many stories about people and guys and girls really struggling because it can be a big change.
Yeah, it was tough. The first year was a lot of homesickness. Probably benefited from the fact that there was three of the other Irish girls there at the club. I benefited from that a lot. You know, familiar faces and home and accents and stuff like that just makes it easier. And yeah, but I did. I found it hard the first year, but to be honest, I was lucky because I was 20 when I was going over, so I was, you know, a good bit older and into university, and I had college to go to when I was, so I had a bit of structure in my life. I wasn't just going into full-time football and twiddling my thumbs then for the rest of the day, which I find difficult anyway. So it was good to have those different things in place that helped me settle.
And of course, on the pitch then as well, it was a very successful time for you as well. You touched on it, the quadruple team. They were such a brilliant team as well. It must have been amazing to some great memories about that time as well. We picked up a lot of silverware.
Yes, it's unbelievable team, the best team I've ever played in, hands down. Like the likes of Kelly Smith, the English players, absolute legend of the game, and just her quality and all through the team, there was just so much ability, and training was the hardest thing ever. Like the games of the weekend were easy compared to training. There was so much talent. I loved it. Every session was brilliant as well. Just so much to learn, and at that time I'd never been exposed to that level, so obviously it took me a while to get up to that level, but once I did, I absolutely thrived in it.
Yeah, you probably noticed your game, that I suppose the technical side of your game improving a lot as well from being in that full time. We wouldn't have had the luxury of that full time, I suppose, coaching environment, if for want of a better word.
Yeah, exactly. To be exposed to that, you know, level of coaching, I hadn't been exposed to anything like that before at club level for sure, and obviously with the Arsenal philosophy as well, it was very much keep the ball on the ground, pass and move and play. So my technical ability just went through, you know, another level when I went there. So I was just improved. I've improved so much at Arsenal. So it was a massive help to me for sure.
Is there any particular memory from your time at Arsenal that stood out?
In terms of like
And I think
silverware,
the
winning with them.
silverware, yeah, and any special memories. I guess
Uh,
winning the FA Cup, you were the first Irish person to win the FA Cup.
uh,
Is that correct?
wait, that was at Chelsea, I
Oh,
think,
that
at
was at
Wembley.
Chelsea.
Is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Probably the biggest. I had so many good things at Arsenal. Like it's hard to go back over the years, but the most one that sticks out to me is after I did my cruciate. So I missed a year there, and then 2014 we won the FA Cup um, against Everton with Arsenal, and it was my first game back actually. So I actually made it back, and the first game back was the final. So I didn't expect to play, and then I got the nod, and then obviously we won. So that was like, yeah, that was a crowning kind of achievement on so many different levels because just getting back on the pitch and playing at that level again, which was a big confidence boost. And obviously, anytime you win silverware, it's always a great moment. So yeah, probably that was the most recent one, but there's been loads.
It's probably an impossible question to answer, but I'm just kind of curious myself in terms of the journey through. I guess maybe you touched on a little bit with being a little young, you mightn't appreciate at times, but the difference between winning All Ireland with Galway and winning like silverware with, say, Arsenal or Chelsea or wherever it may be. Can you compare the two in terms of emotions, or it's probably I repeat, probably impossible
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, it kind of is. For me, I think like winning the All Ireland was just you're winning it with your friends because you have that tight bond and uh, there's some like being in a professional environment. It's great winning and everything, but it is cutthroat and it is ruthless. And you do have bonds, but nothing is as strong as winning stuff with your friends, and that's what we were with that Galway team. So I don't think if I'd be lying if I said Anthony had topped that. Really, that's probably the best feeling that I've ever had. Even though I was quite so young and didn't take it in, but yeah, no, that was something special.
Absolutely. Well, you'll keep the people at home happy, I know, with that answer.
I was paid to say that for my dad.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. Is your dad a good point there or something towards you? Because
Exactly.
it's true though, because I think I don't know, maybe we're a bit tribal and probably every county is the same, but like from being from Galway, and I think it gets even stronger when you're away, almost that tribalism for the love for your county and stuff like that. It's a trying to explain it to someone there during the week, and it's pretty much impossible to. It never goes away, put it that way.
No, exactly. It's like you said, I don't think you can explain it too well. You just have to grow up in it, and then you just know. There's no, it's completely different. And like you said, I think it's because you're just born into a place, and no matter what the circumstances are, you play for that place. And obviously, with all the money and transfers that go around, it's not exactly the same loyalties and whatnot that end up coming up through with the team. So I think that plays like a massive part of it as well.
Okay, I suppose speaking of transfers, your next part of the journey is across London, not too far of a trip. The whole ins and outs of that deal, was that a difficult decision or did it just happen, or how would you describe that next period?
I think it was probably quite easy in terms of I knew I wanted to go. Just I'd spent a lot of time there. I just wanted a new change, and obviously I knew Chelsea was a an up and coming club and had good plans. So I was excited to go there and get on board there and get part of that. And there was a lot of changes behind the scenes at Arsenal at that time as well, which I didn't really see as like a positive change for the club. So yeah, it just felt like a right time to go really, and yeah, so I just went. It wasn't anything, that's another thing. Like it's quite cutthroat. Like once you leave somewhere, you're kind of gone, and that's it. Next one in, one out, and that's how it is. That's how football is.
I think Roy Keane famously described it as footballers are pieces of meat. Maybe not that extreme in your situation, but it definitely is a numbers game, put it that way, I guess.
Definitely. Like that's it. Like I think that's probably so hard for people as well because you've invested so much of yourself and so much of your time somewhere, and then you can just be dropped like that, and then there's no more mention or there's no farewells or big goodbyes or anything like that. So, it's tough in that respect for sure.
Yeah, well, and I guess compared to your first transfer, your first big move across the water, this one was a little bit less stressful, I'd imagine. You only had the short little trip across London.
Definitely, wasn't too much moving to go on either. So I don't mind. I hate moving in general. So nice and stress free, that one.
Very good. And of course, I think I touched on it prematurely there a little earlier. That was creating history, then winning that FA Cup with Chelsea. Again, a very, very special moment for you and your family, I bet.
Yeah, they were actually there as well. So a load of my family came over for the game, and seeing them afterwards, after walking up the steps of Wembley, collecting your winner's medal, and just seeing them was just a unbelievable moment actually to get it to share with your family and be the first to win a FA Cup in Wembley, a women's FA Cup in Wembley as well. It was just an unbelievable day, really.
Absolutely. And just again, me being curious, so you're obviously a big Liverpool supporter now as well. I think you can openly admit it now in your given role. Do you find that, was that an impact in any of your decisions in terms of transfers or stuff like that? Or does that, I suppose, that little kid loyalty at the back of your mind, does it have to just get pushed to one side almost?
Yeah, I like at the time I didn't really think of it like that because I just wanted to go wherever I had a chance to be most successful. And at that time, Chelsea was the place to go to, so I didn't think of any other club really at that specific time. But obviously things change as the years go by. You're like, well, that to get an opportunity to play for your club that you've supported all your life, how amazing that would be. And your hack does change a bit then, and then different. You have to weigh up different things, obviously, but no, it gets stronger for sure. And for me, that was the case. Once Liverpool came in for me, I couldn't turn down the opportunity.
You had a little bit of an adventure in France just before you get your, I suppose, your dream move, for want of a better cliche. How did you
Yeah.
find that whole approach? I remember seeing an article at the time. I think that the line that stuck in it was like, my leaving cert French isn't much use to me here. Must have been a good adventure at the same time. Different culture, different language, different styles, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Did my Leaving Cert French, my D in Leaving Cert French didn't help me much. Honors as well. I'll just put that in.
Okay, very good. Not as bad
Exactly,
then.
exactly. Yeah, no, it didn't really come to much use. But that was a long time in the UK, and I thought if I was ever going to go, it was a good time to go after Chelsea because I wasn't making the starting 11 and I wanted to be playing. I didn't want to be a squad player, and the opportunity came up there, and I said I'd have to take this because I want to experience something different, and I did enjoy it, and it was definitely an eye opener. But the difference between the leagues, it was quite significant, and I knew if I got a chance to come back to the UK that I would take it straight away. So yeah, when Liverpool came calling, then it was just perfect. I was like, yeah, definitely, I want to go to Liverpool, and settled in. Once I was back, I didn't really think back twice about my French sojourn or whatever you like to call it.
Scouse is a bit more easier to understand than pidgin French, is it?
Yeah, but some people find it a bit more difficult, but for me, it's like a second language now.
So obviously that must have been like you felt like the stars are aligning to get the opportunity to play in club that you supported all your life as well. Would you have been a big Liverpool fan growing up?
Yeah, massive, like just huge fan. It was either Liverpool or Man United in my school, and there was
Okay.
a clear split. Probably Man United just shaded it actually. So there's always big rivalries between us at that time, and obviously growing up in the 90s, United were
Yeah.
winning everything. So
Oh, I
I
hear
had to
you. I
suck up.
hear you.
Yeah, had to suck up a lot of abuse. But obviously, as you know, our time has come to get the one over. But yeah, no, it would have been Liverpool mad, Liverpool jerseys, Michael Owen, would have been my like hero, Steven Gerrard at that time. So yeah, through and through from the start.
To get that first opportunity, then when you heard of the move to Liverpool happening, what was your reaction? Can you remember where you were or how that came about?
I was in France, and I was just talking to my agent who was doing different things and sussing out what was happening in the UK in the league. And he's like, "Oh, Liverpool are interested," but I was like, "All right, okay, it's interesting." Have to weigh things up, but obviously at the time as well, there's a lot of changes going on in the background. So at in terms of management and players, so I was a bit wary of going as well at the same time. But then I just was like, I have to go. You don't get the opportunity ever all the time. These opportunities don't come by, so I took it, and yeah, no, I haven't regretted it. There's been a lot of difficult things that have happened. It hasn't been plain sailing by any sense of the imagination, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be playing and wearing red.
Does it feel, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to your other former clubs, but for you, does the Liverpool jersey kind of, the one that's closest to the maroon in terms that you, all the other stuff that you described in the game, here you have that emotional attachment to it as well?
Definitely, without doubt. I think, obviously, like I said, with respect to any of the clubs I've played for, I've always respected my employers and the badge, and done my best. But there is an emotional connection that you just can't describe, that when you play for the club that you've always supported from in your childhood. It has that added significance, and you want to do well for the badge, and you have that pride in the jersey, like as if you were playing for Galway. Really, it's something similar. So that helps as well. That helps me push on and strive for, more success as well. That I want to be successful for this club because I care a lot about it. So yeah, it definitely has that bit more meaning.
And of course, the news that you got last week then, of being probably, I think we were chatting a little bit earlier in the summer, you could probably preempt it was coming a bit, but when it's actually announced and it's official that you are, I'll repeat the words again, they'll probably seem a little real Liverpool captain. I see the smile on your face there straight away. I can tell you're not making it up. That must
Yeah.
make I suppose, any kind of reservations about the move that you may have had initially, you must have been like, oh my God, I made the right decision there.
Yeah, I think exactly. To be now Liverpool captain, the leader of the team. Um, I didn't expect that to happen when was first signed in here. But to be given that opportunity to lead the girls and captain the club is just phenomenal. Really, I wouldn't have dreamt of it ever. But you can see by my face, it's just an overwhelming feeling as well. I'm just proud and very happy. So just have to do well now. So there's no pressure. That's all.
Yeah, well, like we see on the men's side that Jordan Henderson he's got the Hendo Shuffle, his own trademark celebration. Have you something planned yourself? Hopefully,
Jeez.
we'll have something to celebrate this next promotion back.
I hope so. I'm not going to preempt it by coming up with any. I'm sure that was sporadic enough from him as well. So, but hopefully I get that opportunity to do something. But I don't want to be thinking anything too far ahead. I'm definitely someone who keeps their cards close to their chest anyway.
Very good. Well, we'll look forward to it with open eyes for that regard. Hopefully, we'll see you bouncing. I suppose it'd be remiss of me to, I suppose, if we were talking about your Liverpool career, it hasn't been all hunky dory really. There's been a good bit of disappointment, I suppose, on and off the pitch without really getting into it too much. It led to relegation last year out of the MLS. That whole period, the way there was kind of there'd been, I suppose, some messy stuff earlier on in the season as well, with even simple stuff like stuff that probably in 2020 that you probably think you're away from, and games getting called off because pitches are unplayable and stuff like that. That whole side of things, is that kind of very frustrating to take still? I know there's been so much work done, particularly you look at here in Ireland with the 20 by 20 program and stuff like that. It feels like, from somebody from the outside looking in, it feels like there's a lot of good work done, but there's still a hell of a lot more to level that playing field, for want of a better cliche.
For sure. Like, it hasn't all been plain sailing by any means. I think 2 years off the field, like with different things that have happened, have probably been the most difficult in my career, and I've actually learned a lot about myself and as a player from it. So while it's not been the easiest of times, it's actually been a massive time for growth and self-development, as well as a person and as a player. Um, like you said yourself, there's a lot of things that have needed to change in the club, structurally, and in terms of investment and the way that the women's team were being supported. So finally that's started to come into effect and take place, because there's a lot of people that want to do well at Liverpool, but the resources weren't there. So you're kind of swimming against the tide in a certain respect, until you get these things in place to be able to actually compete, because we have a very good squad and good players, but without these things it makes just makes the fight that bit harder. But luckily, there's been changes, and there has been more investment from the club, and more support, really, to put it up where it should be. And obviously it has to get better, like everything has to get better in terms of equality and growth. But no, it's definitely going in the right direction. So we're in a different phase now, and hopefully this is the start of the phase where things are done properly.
Yeah, because look, I think ultimately, in a weird way, at the disappointment of relegation, and especially the way it happened and kind of pretty much being decided off the pitch as well, that was a kind of tough blow to take. Must have been very tough for you guys to take. But in a weird way, and again, this is just from the outside looking in with no knowledge of what's going on, it feels like it was like the big wake up call, and straight away you see so many signings, you see so many people signed up to new contracts and stuff like that. I think it's because let's be brutally honest, there's no way Liverpool should have been relegated. Like, to go from winning the league to be dropped out of it, it's just unheard of, really. But let's hope that we can turn this positive into or the negative into a positive, and it is that wake up call. I'm sure there was some choice words said off the dressing room, put it that way.
Exactly. Like I said, it's probably something that's needed to happen, as sickening and tough as it was for us to take, with us being relegated and so many games left to play. It's maybe, I'm not going to say a good thing, but like I said, it's something that we can change from a negative to a positive, because everything's been completely stripped back, and it's nearly like a reset button, which can be good, and can be the next platform that we build anew from. And I think that's very much what's happening now. And I feel a lot better with the way things are being done off the pitch. And so, yeah, let's just hope that now that we can actually build on what's been laid and the foundations that are starting to be built.
Yeah, because it certainly looks, again, from the outside looking in, that there has been steps in the right direction to correct some of the wrongs. But I guess, like, you look, it must be difficult as well, because the two seasons, when you compare the men's even to the women's, if I can get my words out, like, on one extreme you had, such an amazing season, I suppose the success really of investment over the years. It's not like Man City levels of investment, but there still has been heavy investment in the squad, and you see the success that has given. But on the same side, it felt like you were almost, guys were kind of going in the opposite direction, and repeat, not being able to field game or have a training facility, and then having the games called off because of unplayable pitch. That has to be a huge resentment to you, as never mind a Liverpool player, but just as a footballer in general.
Yeah, it's not what you want, definitely, in this day and age. The basics, you look for the basics, and the basics weren't there. But like I said, the men's success hasn't been done overnight. It's been a project, like a massive project, really. When you look at where Liverpool were and the type of rebuilding that's gone on there, and the squad and everything that's gone into it. So these things don't happen, but overnight. But it has to start somewhere, and if you don't have the basics, you definitely can't start. So things are in place now that weren't in place before. So here it is. Feels like me. It's the beginning of this new project and this new phase. So we're at this important stage to get it off the ground and get us back up to WSL, and that's our aim and that's our target, and that's what we're here to do. So we need to get Liverpool back up to where we should be. So as a supporter, you don't want to. It is embarrassing, but you don't want to be associated with a team that's in a second division league, especially when the guys are growing so well. But we're going to correct that, and we've got the right people in place to do it.
Yeah, I think I read someplace as well that Jurgen Klopp, I'm not sure it was with your manager Vicky, or was it the squad in general, like, shared sometimes of one of his relegations, I think it was with Mainz, he said. What's Jurgen like to be around? Would you have much kind of interaction? Or I know you all went together last summer on the US tour as well. Things like that must be very enjoyable as well, particularly from, you strip back your profession to the Liverpool kid inside you then as well. Stuff like that must be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really good to go on pre-season tour over in the States, and we got a great reception there as well from all the the stateside fans as well. They had a massive interest in the women's team, so that was really cool. And yeah, just traveling around. But I think, just touching on Jurgen Klopp, like he had a Zoom meeting with all of us over lockdown, just to kind of go through different things and share his experiences and his insights, and how he was relegated and different things. But he just came across, as he always does, in every way, just a normal, helpful, and friendly person that was just offering any advice or help that we could tap into, and especially for Vicky, our manager, to bounce off him. So sorry, I just have to fix
No,
something there.
you're all good.
Yeah, so basically he just comes across as a really good guy, and someone who's there for anyone if they need it, especially, like I said, Vicky, our manager.
Yeah, I was trying to describe it, like, not that I have much interaction, but just from various press conferences over the years and stuff like that. The best way you can describe him is he comes into a room and yes, he is pretty physically tall, but it's his aura. He just fills the room. Everyone kind of shirks back, and he's a god to us Liverpool supporters as well. To have the Zoom calls like that and stuff like that must be a little bit of kind of give you that motivation. Spurs are probably at an all-time low, really, between the relegation and then lockdown, not being able to train. Stuff like that must kind of fuel the appetite for the new season, which will begin shortly.
Yeah, like I said, it's very cool to have those resources and people like Jurgen Klopp willing to share their experiences and be involved with us and um, be helpful, like you said, when our spirits were low, and to offer words of encouragement, words of wisdom. And Stephen Gerrard was on another Zoom call as well, talking about his experiences as well. So Liverpool's a great club, and people care about the club as a whole, and those resources are there to tap into, and that's massively empowering as players and as a management team to know that. So yeah, we have support, and we have resources like that to tap into, which even from a non-football perspective is yeah, it's extremely cool, like to be able to ask these kind of things to such people of high stature who've done so well in the game.
Absolutely. I got to ask, how was playing at Anfield? What was that? What was that like?
That was amazing. That was another kind of surreal experience. Walking out there with, you'll never walk alone
Did
coming
you
on.
touch the badge or the sign?
Yeah, definitely touch the sign, give the sign a touch, and basically tried not to, think about everything too much, let the occasion overwhelm me. But no, I enjoyed that. Pitch was amazing. We had a great crowd there. Derby game. Uh, we played well as well. We just on one of those, like the story of our year,
Yeah, it was story of the
ended up
season, really,
losing it.
wasn't it?
Yeah, story of the season, ended up playing them off the park, but couldn't win the game. So yeah, it was a great experience, bar the result. And yeah, I think hopefully we'll be able to get another run out again in the years to come. Definitely this year. I think it's in the pipeline already. So I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I was about to say that I know obviously logistically and the men's calendar is pretty intense, and who knows what way the fixture calendar is going to go this next year. It's like hard to believe that the community, like the men's team, have, like, I know you guys are back a couple of weeks now as well, um, and the men's team playing the Community Shield Saturday week, which is just, I can't get my head around it really. It's just I know the last couple of months have kind of morphed into one, but obviously
Mm,
I can assure the wish is that you would like to play a bit more at Anfield if that's possible, because you saw the impact here. Like, even made simple things like it made the news over here, and obviously with your story now as well, and being captain now as
mm.
well. That's probably something that it would be great if it was possible for that to happen a lot more during the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think all the girls see the buzz that you get from playing at a place iconic as Anfield as well. Even if it's not, you don't support Liverpool, of course you want to play at these stadiums. And then it just tops it all off when you're a Liverpool supporter, playing at Anfield. So hopefully, as I think it is in the pipeline to play this year, a couple of games there. So that'd be great. It was just, like I said, an amazing experience, and gets you up for the game just that little bit more. So we'll take it if we can get it any advantage if we can.
Perfect. Well, hopefully lockdown will be settled a bit, and we'll be able to get over for it. And
I hope so.
because you see streams of, like, every, again, this is prior to the crazy scenario we're at the moment. Every weekend or every match day you go into the airport, like, I'd go back and forth with work and stuff quite a lot, but every single, whether it's, no matter what form of transport you take, the airports are thronged full of Irish people going back and forth every week. It would be great if there was
Mm,
something done, even if it's, if the games are in the same weekend or something like that, to really morph in, because the Irish Liverpool audience, as you know, is huge. It would just be great if
mhm,
if there was a way of just tying it together, that we could encourage more people to go over to your games as well, and get that extra couple of percent of the crowd at a Rockin' Anfield, or even if it is the
mm.
Tremor Stadium, if there's a big crowd there as well, because that has to make a big difference to your performances as well.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, hopefully something like that could happen. I don't know with the logistics of everything how they make that work, but obviously we've seen it done in the GA, so you think surely it can be done. It can be done for football in it over here as well with us. But yeah, like when you get that extra couple of thousand just cheering you on and getting behind your team at Anfield, you could really feel the presence. And sometimes in games you don't get the same support as what you do in the men's games. You don't get that same roar, but for the Anfield game, you could really feel the difference of the crowd and when you were getting on top. And that was like a massive thing for the girls as well. They could drive us on. So yeah, hopefully that could happen. Who knows?
Did you never walk alone before the game as well? Must have been pretty emotional, I'd say. We nearly hold back the tears at times.
I don't know about the tears. I was trying to like not my best not to think about everything too much because I knew well I'd get myself in an awful state before, and I knew I had a job to do as well. So I was very much kind of tuned in but zoned out at the same time to all those little things. But no, it's yeah, I took it in as well, but not to the extent that you could if you could just relax. But it was a great experience being a fan and walking out to that.
True. And then I suppose in terms of being a fan then as well, are you, again, this is all conversation is like prior to lockdown and stuff like that, but towards the court, like some of last season, are you able to get, if your calendars are kind of aligned, are you able to get to games or enjoy the men's games, or is that almost a different world to you at times?
No, it's actually worked out well. This season actually ended up getting to a good few games, pre-lockdown. So whenever our games aren't clashing, I'll definitely go to the men's game. The atmosphere there is always unbelievable. So we usually get tickets down in Anfield Road, so kind of nice beside the away supporters as well.
Throwing
So
abuse
depending
back there,
on
are you?
exactly, I see me with the hood up, throwing shouting abuse back and nearly getting chucked out by the steward. We're very well behaved, but no, it's good. It's a good section to be in. So missing that as well. Hopefully, I'm not sure when supporters will be allowed back in, but October maybe they're saying. So no, I'm missing that. So hopefully that'll be able to come back in soon.
One of the perks of Liverpool, living and working in Liverpool, if that's the right word, of being there, having that on your
Yeah,
doorstep.
most definitely. It was a massive perk, top perk.
And of course, I saw you shared some photos on social media there, maybe a month or so back, which I was insanely, I think I was messaging at the time, insanely jealous of. You were able to go in and see the trophy, the Premier League trophy, as well as that, stuff like that. I suppose every form of emotion really is the kid fan inside you, then is the motivation of wanting to do that yourself with the women's team as well. Again, one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, being at the club, being a player, and surrounding yourself what the guys have done just shows the level that they're at, and something that in the club that we need to aspire to in the women's team. But they're phenomenal at the minute, and it's great for them. It's great to see their success, transferred into silver, and especially the Premier League, which is a massive burden on all Liverpool fans,
Oh
and
yes.
obviously I'd say the club in general. So no, it's great to get up close and get some pictures of that trophy.
I'm sure you might have reminded some of your schoolmates and stuff like that as well. The abuse over the years, was there a few reminders?
I was like, well, they're kind of hard to find them these days. They're hiding under the woodwork.
I think there's
So
internet
if they
falls
come out,
someplace.
exactly, there no one seems to be coming out. So I'll wait till someone sticks up their head, and I'll put them back in their place.
Very good, very good. And of course, we have seen an Irish Liverpool captain wear number 5 before in Ronnie Whelan. It'd be good. I know, true. Well, you haven't. You're not going to tell us your celebration yet, but it would be good to see another iconic couple of photos like that as well. Something to inspire to
Yeah,
for next season.
definitely. Hopefully, I'm not too prolific when it comes to goal scoring, but that's something that I could rectify for this season. So there's a challenge.
Well, full of challenges then, and like I think we touched on this as well. I know from obviously you've no bearing in the decision and stuff like that, but it would appear like if the club don't have your kind of link, having an Irish captain here is huge. And again, I'm speaking for myself as I suppose as a fan and someone from Galway as well. It's absolutely amazing to see someone, not only an Irish Liverpool captain, but a Galway Liverpool captain as well. It would be great if the club kind of made use of that in terms of marketing material and stuff like that, because you would be a great role model for girls. Like, I'm sure when you were growing up, there wasn't that many, I suppose, idols. Or role models in the women's game. This would be a perfect opportunity to resolve that.
I think you're spot on. Like you said, the lack of female representation when I was growing up was a big thing, and my idols were all male players, and you can still have idols as male players now, but it's great to have female role models, and I think it just makes a difference to a lot of young girls when they can see, you can see that pathway, you can see that person, and all you go, oh, I want to play for Liverpool one day, and there you go, like you can see it and it's real. So yeah, hopefully, like you said, hopefully make use of what it means to Irish Liverpool fans and all Irish young girls who have a dream of playing for Liverpool, to make it that bit more realistic and visible.
Absolutely, absolutely. We hope that they listen to us. Hopefully, your Irish day, your Irish days as well. Obviously, that's a special time for you, pulling on your Irish shirt as well. I can't help but think back straight away when I think of our recent Irish women's, I suppose, football, and it's for all the wrong reasons. I keep thinking back to that press conference in Liberty Hall. It feels like things have improved slightly. We've seen bigger attendances at your games recently, and it's great to see the Tallaght Stadium, pretty much at full capacity almost for games like that. But again, it must have been a horrible, horrible situation to have been to resort to being put in a situation like that. Again, it's 2020 now. I know it was a couple of years ago since it happened, but that whole thing, we seem to come back to the same topics over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, like it is, and I know a lot of people bleat on about equality and why are women complaining about this, that, and the other, but it goes back to basics, and we put up with so much for so long, where we're just tired of it, just sick of it, like simple things like that were well documented, that were happening in the Irish team, that we weren't been treated properly. And again, just respect. It just comes to basic respect, really, and treating people with dignity, really, and like those are basic things that we're missing. So like thankfully a lot of those things have been sorted, and it has transpired that we're getting more investment again. Things are being done properly, and the crowds are now coming as well. Like you've seen Tallaght the last couple of games, big numbers there as well, cheering us on, and again making a big difference vocally to the girls on the pitch as well, getting us up for the game. And yeah, it's just better now, because unfortunately we had to make that step and do those drastic measures to get things done. But we're not the only section of the FAI that was not treated properly or fairly. Like there's plenty other sections there that need a lot more work and investment. But yeah, I'm glad to say that our side of things is being taken care of a lot better now.
How do you deal with all that frustration? That was like, it drives me mad even thinking about it, but to be involved in it and to be, I suppose, the one suffering the most from it, you must have very thick skin to be able to kind of park that emotion and go out and play and have that. I'd probably be going around like a lunatic, like just annoyed all the time if I was dealing with that. And then particularly when you look across, pretty much the only difference is sex, really, and you look across and you see the big differences. That has to be, I suppose, it's a constant battle, I guess.
Yeah, it is difficult, and I suppose after a while, you get so ingrained into what's actually acceptable and how you're treated, that you think, well, am I asking for too much here? And it's only until you step back from that and you analyze things and you think, oh, why are we going ahead with this? It shouldn't be like this. But you become institutionalized to it after a while, and then when someone says you're kicking up a fuss, you kind of, it can knock your confidence back as a female sports person, to be listening to different angles, and they're rubbish and this, that, the other. You get a lot of negativity that way, so it can take it can take a bit of self-esteem to knock you back. But as I said before, if you don't fight for these things, you don't stand up, you're not going to progress our sport. And our sport, female football, isn't on par with the men's. We know that, but we have a lot less time in terms of investment, in terms of structure, in terms of young girls being trained in correct ways that the guys have had pathways to. There still be physical differences, but to respect people in the same way, to give them the same opportunity to be the best they can be, that's all female sports people are asking for. And in football, we've been lagging behind big time. But like I said, things are starting to slowly turn and slowly improve. And when you see these things happening, it makes a big difference to me personally, and to see that younger people are getting a lot better treatment now in terms of young girls. So there's changes being made, and that's all you can ask for. Changes to be made and keep the trend going in the right direction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think even they're only small things on the greater scheme of things, but you look at the investment in the WLS, even the last couple of days, like the amount of, so 2 or 3 US World Cup winners joining City there as well. The profile seems to be increasing all the time. I think the US have got it right in terms of, for a lot of things right, and the exposure, you touched on it there as well. The reaction that you got on the preseason tour is probably an indication of that. But the fact that so many of those players now are coming towards England, coming over to the WLS, that all that sort of stuff, if it's marketed right and it's put in the right places, that'll surely help. I suppose the greater fight, it's more profile, it's more exposure if it's done in the right way, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see like US World Cup winners coming over. Just adds straight away more profile. You want to see the best players playing in the league. So that's, I think, like I said, if it's done right, if the marketing's done correctly, it should generate a lot of interest, and it already is. I can see, online now, there's a lot of talk already about, the season and the clashes that are going to happen between, let's say, the top three in the WSL. So it's a good time, and it's great to see like things like that happening. It'll just push the profile of the game in England to another level.
You must be itching to get back up promoted so you can just put a couple of those World Cup winners in their place.
For sure, for sure. It's you see on one hand you're like, oh, it's brilliant, and then on the other hand you're like,
Off to
God,
mark them.
exactly. Well, no, a dose of reality when you're like, oh, we're not in that league anymore. We have to get back up to that league. So, no, hopefully they'll still be there next year, so we
Give them a
can
Galway
go.
welcome.
Exactly. Go not a bit of a friendly handshake, I'll say.
Yeah, that's a very loose definition. Let's hope there's no VAR there.
Exactly.
You're, I suppose, if you look forward, you're obviously in the middle of pre-season at the moment. That's keeping you guys busy. I bet the long miles have been put in.
Yeah, pre-season's going really well this year. It's obviously a lot longer because of lockdown. So they've given us a extra couple of weeks to get everyone, back to full fitness and not to risk any injuries and that. So plenty of running, plenty of stats and GPS monitoring going on. So it has to be done to get us ready. But no, it's going all right. It's going well.
A couple of friendlies under the belt as well.
Yeah, a couple of friendlies, good friendlies as well. Been doing well, building, implementing different things that we want to do throughout the season. So I'm happy. I'm happy the way pre-season's been going. So
And of
no
course,
complaints.
you've got the fixture calendar as well. That has to it makes it real again.
Yeah, exactly. Once you see that first fixture, and it's not too far away now to 2 and a bit weeks. I think 5th September. So yeah, just you just straight away got that target in mind, and you're just gunning for it. So, no things yet to do and to implement, but definitely happy with where we're at, and we'll definitely be ready for the first once the first game comes around.
Well, let's hope it's going to be a more of a successful season this year. We can get some trophy. We'll have to keep an eye
Yeah.
out what your celebration will be. I might try and get a sneak preview in advance. It can't be the shuffle now as well, so it has to be to get the thinking cap on. And let's hope that because even just for Irish fans as well, like most of the games are streamed as well, I believe. So it'd be great to you being so high profile now as well. It'd be great just to create a bit of interest in it. Obviously, Liverpool is
Mhm.
absolutely bananas at the moment. The men's team, it's never been popular than ever, really. So it would be great to not jump on the bandwagon, but make use of that rightful exposure. And hopefully, when things calm down and we can get back to going to games as well, we can get some Irish heads in over watching you guys and cheering you guys on as well. Go easy on the abuse to you, though.
For sure, for sure. Like you said, that'd be great. Massive Irish Liverpool connection, and we have myself playing now, so hopefully everyone gets behind that connection and supports us this season, and we'll need it. So yeah, no, hopefully a successful season to go with it.
Let's hope. Let's hope when we're chatting next again, we're celebrating, and I'm taking the mick out of you how your celebration was. We can have a rating on screen or something like that. That'd be good. But look, Niamh, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. The legs are probably bashed as well after getting ran off as well. So wish you the very success for the rest of the season. Let's hope it's a successful one and the club is rightfully back in its spot and we can really push on and gather this big momentum. And we're certainly going to be keeping an eye out for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Niamh.